Hi everyone, here again for the second of 3 videos for the hips and the hamstrings. So what you'll need today is something to support your knees if they are tender and being on your knees is tough for you. We are going to start on hands and knees. So you also might need so I'm going to place this blanket underneath my knees just for extra support. The other thing you may need are blocks, and if you don't have blocks, that's fine. You can use water bottles. It's just really about bringing the ground to you. You can also use books. You can use a chair. So what I want you to do is just put that off to the side and come onto hands and knees. So we want to look down and make sure our knees are directly underneath our hips, and then our hands, our wrists specifically, are directly underneath our shoulders. And then from there, spread your fingers nice and wide. You can keep the toes tucked or untuck them. That's completely up to you. So what I want you to do here is we're going to make some movements called cat and cow. So what that is we're just moving the spine, lifting the chest. So you see that my tail lifted, my heart lifted. I don't want you to really extend through the neck too much. The head stays neutral. And then on cat, so when we round, we're pushing the ground away. We are letting the head drop. We're rounding through the spine. And so as you move back and forth in this movement, we coordinate the breath so that we're inhaling when we're extending. So we're extending through the spine here. And we're exhaling as we're contracting, which is pulling yourself in. We're coming into this hinge. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Just go at your own pace here, lifting. We're just getting the spine warmed up a little bit. Next time, you're rounded, meaning your spine is moving up to the sky, the head is dropping down. We want to hold this for a few rounds of breath. And we want to start pressing, and you may want to look at me here if you're not. Pushing into the hands, the weight is starting to come back. And then letting the weight come forward more into the hands. And this just moves the stretch a little bit. Finally, we're going to make our way into a child's pose. So I want you to take the knees nice and wide. You can untuck the toes. If you have any issues with your ankles, we can put a blanket also underneath the top of your feet. So you walk your hands forward, you send your hips back, and we let the head rest. So if your head doesn't meet the ground, you can put a block underneath it or a pillow, anything that'll help support you. So there is some activity going on here. Your arms are currently walking out so that you get that nice extension from the hip all the way to the fingertips. So I'm just turning my head so that you can hear me when I talk. So as you do this, you're walking your fingers forward, you're sending your hips back, you're getting all of that length through the spine. Take one more round of breath here. Maybe you feel it in your underarms and your side body. Then slowly walk the hands in. And so we're going to come to what we call flow here. So what that looks like. So just watch me for a second. We're going to come from child's pose. Hands are going to stay put. And we're going to bring our body forward to come into Cobra Pose. Elbows bend slightly. Shoulders roll back. So I don't want this. See how my elbows are locked out? We want a slight bend. Shoulders roll back. Exhale, bring it back into your child's pose. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale. Let your hips drop, elbows slight bend, shoulders roll back. Exhale. If this hurts your back in any way, come all the way to the ground and only lift up into a small cobra. And I'll show you what that looks like now. If this feels good to you, then stay here. So this is what that would look like. Let's all end in our child's pose. Inhale to come back up, hands and knees. And this is where you might need your blocks or books or bottles if you have it. So we're gonna step 1 foot forward. Let's step our right foot forward, okay? From here, take your hands on your thigh. And we're just gonna settle in here. So again, moving dynamically. So I'm coming in and I'm coming out, okay? So each time I go forward a little bit, you should feel a little bit of a stretch through that back leg. If you don't, through the front of the back leg. If you don't, and I'm gonna turn around a little bit. If you're not feeling that for whatever reason, send this knee back a little bit further, okay? And then you might feel this stretch. So the point of this work here is, of course, you're gonna feel some strength happening in the back of the front thigh and maybe even the glute. But the point of this is to get the front of this hip, okay? This hip flexor. So if you need to keep your hands down the whole time, we're just kind of coming in and out. It's kind of why I have the blocks here. It might let you go a little deeper to get that stretch. Or you can keep your hands on your thigh and go in and out that way. So we're gonna stay here for about 5 full total breaths. So close your eyes maybe if you feel like you can. Inhale and exhale. Hold here. Take both arms up. Grab hold of, we stepped our right foot forward, so our left thigh, right? We want to open up this side. So you can take your left wrist in your right hand and pull yourself over. If that feels too off balance for you, just keep it upright, but extend through those ribs. Come back to center. Exhale, hands come down. And we're going to do the other side. Left foot steps forward. You're going to pause here. Make sure your back knee and your front foot are placed appropriately. So your knee is slightly behind the hip. The front foot, so you've got this wide distance, right? When we're here, we really have less availability for movement. We want to create mobility. This is more stable, but this is allowing you to have more mobility. So if it's super tight, just ease into it. Again, you can always keep your hands on blocks and just sit in and out of it, but use the breath. Last one here. And then from there, bring your hands onto your thigh. If you're not already there, take them up to the sky. Grab hold of your wrist, lean it over. Inhale to come up. Exhale, hands come down. From here, we'll step the front knee back. Coming back onto hands and knees. And we're going to do a little bit of that flow. So you're going to sit back into your child's pose. On your next inhale, roll it forward. Let the hips come down, elbows bend, heart lifts. Exhale, slow, release it back, child's pose. We're gonna do that 2 more times. Inhale, bring it forward. Shoulders roll back. So if you're locking out your joints, if you're locking out those elbows, your shoulders are gonna roll forward, and that's kind of not the point. We want the shoulders to come back. Exhale, bring it back. Last time, inhale, roll it forward. Exhale, bring it back. Come back to center. Hands and knees. Use your blocks. We're going to do one more exercise here. We're going to step that right foot forward again. And this time we're coming into this runner's stretch, or also called half split. So what you're going to do, and if you need to take your hands to your hips, it's fine too. Straighten that front leg and then bend. Straighten and bend. So if you need the blocks in order to do this, that's fine too. This creates a little bit, because I'm hinged over, creates a little bit more of the stretch. So we're getting into that hamstring here. Good. Use your breath. Go at your own pace, in and out. Last one, and we hold. So we're holding this. Maybe your leg doesn't come all the way straight, but you're still feeling a stretch. That's fine. I want you to make sure that you're taking this hip and pulling it back. Even if the leg isn't completely straight, you'll still feel the stretch. See if you can root down through that front heel and imagine you can pull the heel back in space. Breathe through it. I know it's intense. 2 more breaths. 1 more. And then slowly bend the knee. Okay. You're going to take the knee back to the blanket and step the other foot forward. From here, again, straighten and bend. Find what works for you. Hands on blocks or those water bottles, whatever you got. But just don't drop your weight completely down into them. Maybe you stop and just explore how this feels. Let's all stop here. Front leg is straight, towards straight anyway. And then we draw the front heel into the mat as we take the left hip and draw it back as well. Exhale, bend the front knee. Place the blocks off to the side. Bring the knees back down. Sit it back into a child's pose, knees wide, arms extended. Inhale, roll it forward into that Cobra Pose. Shoulders roll back, elbows slight bend. And then bring it back. Two more times. Inhale, bring it forward. Let your hips come down. Enjoy the stretch. Exhale, bring it back. On your next inhale, come back up onto hands and knees and find a seat. So, last part of this, I want you to just sit with straight legs or bent knees. It doesn't matter to me. And then what I want you to do is take your hands and place them underneath your thighs. So even if your legs are straight, I want you to press into those thighs as you lengthen up through the crown. Two more breaths. One more. And then bend your knees and come into whatever position feels good for you here to release the stretch. And again, this can be repeated several times, the same flow, or maybe you go back and you take a little longer between each stretch. So make this what you need it to be, and I'll see you next time.